welcome back to my kitchen. Today I wanted to make some Spanakopita stuffed with plenty of spinach and feta cheese and baked in the oven until it's really nice and crispy, made with filo pastry, and it's a really simple, easy recipe. So for this we're going to start by dicing a couple of onions, let's say one large onion or two small ones. You can use red or brown onion, it's up to you. I'm just using what I have. And then we're going to fry this off in the pan. When your onions have been sliced and diced, add a little olive oil to a pot. I'm using extra virgin olive oil. You don't want to add too much because you don't want this to become super oily when you make it. And add your onions, and you're going to fry your onions just until they're translucent and nice and soft. That should take around 5 minutes on a sort of medium heat. I also like to add just a little sprinkling of salt just to help the onions sweat. Just remember you've already added salt, so when you add salt to the dish later, just be mindful of the initial salt that you added. I'm going to pop a lid on top just to help it soften. Whilst my onion fries, I'm going to prepare my spinach. I'm using around 250 grams. If you're hoping to make it for more people, as I'm just making it for myself, then use more spinach. Remember, spinach wilts massively. You can also use frozen spinach. I'm using around 250 grams, and I'm just going to chop mine up a little, roughly, just so it doesn't all clump together. These are pre-washed, but if yours need a good wash, then do wash it. The chopping is optional, but I just prefer to do this before I cook it. When your onions are soft and translucent, crush in a nice big clove of garlic or 2 small cloves and cook it in for a minute just to release those flavours really nice and cook off that rawness of the garlic. When you fried the garlic off slightly, you're going to add your spinach to your onions and just cook it off a little bit. If you're using frozen, you can skip this step, but I'm just going to give this just a few minutes to wilt and get rid of all that excess moisture that will be in the spinach. Don't worry, the pan is going to look really full, but it will wilt down pretty much immediately. I'm just tossing the spinach very carefully just to make sure it all cooks and wilts evenly, and we're going to add some herbs and seasonings. You can see just how quickly it's wilting. I'm going to add a little salt. Be careful with the salt because remember your spinach is going to wilt and it's very easy to over salt things. You can always taste it for seasoning after. Some pepper. My spinach has wilted down. I'm going to remove it from the pan so it doesn't continue shrinking so much. Now I'm going to add some parsley. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any fresh, they were sold out, so I'm going to have to use the dry, although I really recommend you try to use fresh if you can. And a good teaspoon of dill. I'm using dried dill, of course. Again, fresh is absolutely brilliant, but I feel like it will give a really nice lightness to the dish. Now I'm going to let the spinach cool completely before I proceed with the next steps. I've got a block of feta cheese. I'm using around 200 grams, which is probably more than what you need for the amount of spinach that I'm doing, considering I cooked around 250 grams of spinach, but I really, really love feta cheese, so I like to stuff my Spanakopitas with it. You could obviously use half the amount that I'm using, for the ratio of spinach that you add, but I'm just going to cut it up and then I'm going to dice it up. It doesn't matter if it crumbles. In fact, you can crumble it into your Spanakopita if you wish, but I'm going to try to cut it as small as I can, just small pieces, and then this is going to be added to the bowl with the spinach once it's cool. So I've got these little pieces, I'm just going to cut those in half again. It doesn't have to be perfect, and then this is ready to be added to the spinach. I'm now going to add the feta cheese to the spinach and mix it in. You can see here I've got loads of feta cheese in there. I probably have more feta cheese than spinach right now. But as I said, I love the stuff. I'm going to mix that in gently, and then I'm going to get ready for the next step. I'm going to crack 2 medium-sized eggs into this and mix it in. I just usually crack it on something flat so it doesn't push the shell in there. Just break it in. I'm going to try to break it in one spot so I can sort of start mixing the egg before, to loosen it up before I mix it into the rest. Just kind of like this. Whisk it up a little, just so it doesn't sort of break everything else down too quickly. And then add that in, and that's going to be used as a binder. If you feel like it needs another egg, then add another. The great thing about Spanakopita is you can add whatever you like to it. If you want, you can add ricotta cheese to the feta cheese. Along with the feta cheese, you can add some pine nuts for just this. It's so versatile, you can make it however you like. I'm now prepared to fill my filo pastry. I've doubled up on the rolls, so there's 2 pieces of filo pastry here, and over here I've got some olive oil in a bowl, and I'm going to liberally brush this on. Because filo pastry is very dry, you really do need something to help it along, otherwise you will get a sort of dry, powdery tasting pastry when it comes out of the oven, which isn't really too pleasant. So I'm going to brush this all over. You could also use melted butter instead of olive oil. And when you've brushed it on, I'm just going to cut this in half, being careful not to tear it. It might tear a little in this case. It is a little bit, but that's okay because it's going to be folded up. Doesn't matter if it's separate, just place it back out. And we're going to dollop a nice spoonful of that spinach and cheese mixture in the centre here. Not too much, because you want to fill it, but you also don't want to get in too messy. I reckon this should make about 8 Spanakopitas, but we'll see. Get that in there. And then we're going to proceed to the next part. We're going to fold that over, like so, like in a good triangle. Try to keep the filling away from the edges if you can help it. Press that air out. I'm just going to get the excess spinach off my fingers, and then we're going to go again, going this way. I'm going to fold that excess air out. Push it out, keep the mixture away from the edge if you can help it. We're going to go back this way. You can see this is more of an open seam. I'm going to fold that in, press that. It doesn't matter if that squeezes it out a little bit at this point, because I'm going to fold this over here and tuck that in over there. If it's not a perfect triangle, it doesn't matter too much. You can just pinch and press it into place. I'm going to give this one final brush with olive oil, just to keep the outside nice and crispy again and help it stop drying out. It's going to look a little rough maybe, but even if it does, it doesn't matter. This is the first time I've done this, to be honest, so first one always turns out the worst. And I'm going to place this to one side in a plate, and then we're going to repeat it with the next one. I'm going to push that more to the centre. I'm going to give it, I'm just going to push that further down for this. I'm going to fold to a nice triangle, push out the air, split open a little, but that doesn't matter because I'm going to fold it again. Fold, push out the air. I think for the next ones I'm going to fill it a little less than I have on these ones then, because I think that's what's causing them to split a little. Then one last fold, press that in, fold this over. These look a little rough. I think for my next ones I'm going to fill it a lot less and brush it over with oil. These do look spectacularly rough. But I'm just going to fold that in, give that a flip, brush some more oil. You can tell I'm probably a novice at this. And place that aside. When you have prepared all of your Spanakopita triangles, if you'll notice some of them look a lot neater. I found it worked a lot better when I filled them a little less. These are now ready to go into a preheated 200 degrees Celsius oven for around 30 to 40 minutes until they're a really nice golden brown. Make sure to flip them over halfway so they cook evenly, and place it in the tray seam side down to prevent them opening up too much. My Spanakopita came out looking nice and golden brown. Although they had a nice crispiness to it, I felt like they still could be better. This batch leaked quite a lot of the filling, and over time, like within 10 minutes, 15 minutes, they'd already started to soften. So the next day I thought I would try again and improve it. Although I was relatively happy with the first batch that I made yesterday, I still thought I could do better. So the next day I whipped up a second batch of Spanakopitas. I used about half of the filling that I did the day before, and I must say I feel like they look much better. They leaked much less, although there was a tad bit of leakage here and there. It wasn't really an issue, it wasn't pooling, and they just aesthetically, I feel like they look a lot nicer, they're neater, they sound crispier, and they just look whole round just delicious to me. Much happier. I mean, listen to that crunch. They're still really hot out of the oven, but you can hear just how crispy and crunchy these are. So yeah, much less filling, and they turned out perfectly. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please do leave a like and subscribe, click that notification bell, and I'll hopefully upload more videos soon. Thank you.